Dr. Richard Langston had spent the last 20 years teaching advanced calculus at Westbridge University. A strict traditionalist, he believed that mathematics was an exclusive domain, one where only the truly serious student belonged. He had a reputation for being mercilessly critical, especially of students who, in his eyes, didn't fit the mold. That's why, when Elijah Carter walked into a classroom on the first day of the semester, Dr. Langston barely concealed his skepticism. Elijah was a tall, confident young man with deep brown skin and an easygoing demeanor. He dressed casually, jeans and a hoodie, a pair of wireless headphones draped around his neck. His laid-back attitude didn't seem to fit the intense academic rigor of Dr. Langston's classroom. From the moment Elijah took his seat, the professor had already decided, this kid won't last 2 weeks. The first few lectures went as expected. Dr. Langston bombarded his students with rapid-fire explanations, complex derivations, and intricate proofs. He had a habit of putting students on the spot, challenging them in ways that would expose any weakness. And that's exactly what he planned to do to Elijah. The challenge. One fateful Monday morning. As the students filed into class, Dr. Langston turned to the board and wrote an equation that spanned almost the entire length of it. Since we're covering differential equations, let's test our understanding, he said, his voice laced with condescension. Mr. Carter, why don't you come up here and solve this for us? The classroom fell silent. A few students exchanged glances, sensing what was happening. Everyone knew Dr. Langston's reputation. He set traps for students he deemed unworthy, hoping to embarrass them. Elijah, however, didn't flinch. He simply shrugged, stood up, and walked to the board. Dr. Langston smirked, stepping back with his arms crossed. This equation, he continued, is a nonlinear partial differential equation. Quite an advanced one, I might add. Take your time. Elijah picked up the chalk and studied the problem for a moment. Then, with fluid confidence, he started writing. Genius at work. At first, Dr. Langston barely paid attention, expecting the usual mistakes. But as Elijah wrote, something strange happened. The professor's smirk disappeared. Elijah didn't hesitate. His steps were precise, his transitions seamless. He skipped unnecessary steps, using shortcuts that only someone with a deep understanding of mathematics would know. He wasn't just solving the equation. He was dismantling it, reducing it with elegant precision. The classroom watched in stunned silence as Elijah reached the final answer in under 3 minutes. He put down the chalk, turned around, and, without a hint of arrogance, asked, "That what you were looking for?" Dr. Langston's face went pale. He quickly scanned the work, searching for any error, any flaw. There was none. "That's correct," the professor muttered, barely able to believe it. A few students chuckled. A girl in the front row whispered, "Holy crap." Elijah simply returned to his seat, pulling his headphones back over his ears like it was just another day. The truth comes out. Dr. Langston, still in shock, cleared his throat. Where'd you learn to solve problems like that?" Elijah shrugged. "I've been doing math competitions since I was 10. Qualified for the International Mathematical Olympiad at 15. Won a couple of national championships." Murmurs spread through the room. You're an Olympiad competitor?" Dr. Langston stammered. "Yep," Elijah said, pulling out his phone and showing a picture of him shaking hands with a renowned mathematician at an award ceremony. Dr. Langston was speechless. He had assumed Elijah wasn't serious, assumed he would fail. Instead, he had just been bested by a student who was, quite frankly, on another level. Respect earned. For the rest of the semester, Dr. Langston never underestimated Elijah again. In fact, he often found himself turning to the young genius for insights, even inviting him to collaborate on advanced research problems. And Elijah, he continued excelling, not out of arrogance, but simply because math was his passion. He didn't need to prove anything. He had let his work speak for itself. By the end of the course, Dr. Langston had learned a lesson far more valuable than anything in calculus. Never judge a mind by its appearance.